Hi, Badu from freefincal, and today let's talk about something simple, perhaps even trivial, but if used well, can remove some trouble from our lives. We're going to talk about how to plan for recurring goals with recurring deposits. And the most common recurring goal we'll talk about is 1 year goal or annual goals, tuition fees, life insurance, health insurance premium. All these are simple goals for which we have to pay some money every year. Sometimes the premium will increase. Many times the premium will increase unless it is life insurance, and the tuition fee also increases significantly. So let's see how to handle this, and also I'll talk about how I do it. So this is a lesson I got from my parents. I've seen my parents open and close RDs for annual goals, and I do the same. I'll explain why and how it's tax efficient for me to do it. In fact, I have records from 2010, maybe earlier, but I have to check. 2010 definitely for the RD interest rates, and I've seen it grow from 6.5% to 9% and back down to 6.5%. I will publish that later. So currently, I have RDs running for my base health insurance, my super top up health insurance, my life insurance, and tuition fees. Tuition fees increases every year, so I just keep adding the. I mean, most of these increase every year except life insurance. So I keep increasing the quantum of investment made. There's no real way you can manage this. I mean, you can't take risk for to fight inflation here and so on. So you have to play it safe. One important lesson I've learned over the years is that the maturity date for the RD should be at least 2 to 4 weeks before the deadline date. I mean, if the school says pay fees from X date, 2 weeks before that, or even 4 weeks before that, that money should be ready for you to pay. Especially with respect to health insurance, this is very useful because sometimes what happens is you'll find that the health insurance premium shoots up and you want to port. If you want to port, you need to start the porting process 6 weeks prior. Otherwise, there's no way you can port in time. So you need to start at least 6 weeks in prior. So you should have that money ready to pay for the new premium. But the problem, I tell you, you can't keep doing it every year. So I mean, people who are talking about, I'm going to port my, people say, oh, my health insurance cover has increased by this much. I'm going to port my policy. After you port, that will happen again. That's so how you can't keep porting every year. So you have to recognize that and resign yourself to that. The standard debate is recurring deposits versus liquid funds or overnight funds or arbitrage funds. Your personal comfort matters more than tax. So I would suggest for peace of mind, just use recurring deposits for annual goals. That's the best. Uh, the tax advantage over debt funds for those in the for any slab, I forgot, for any slab, not just 20 or 30%, for any tax slab for 1 year or even up to 3 years is practically nothing. It's really nothing. I mean, if you want to beat an FD or an RD with a liquid fund, you must be able to take more credit risk. But if you take credit risk, it can backfire. So then you will have to resign yourself with debt fund, liquid funds or overnight funds. So over 3 years, maybe you can consider arbitrage funds, which only invest in safe bonds. At least for those in the 20-30% slab, that will be better benefit. Even for 5% it will be, but yeah, it will be a better benefit for over 5 years because up to 1 lakh capital gains will be tax free after a year and so on. So arbitrage will work provided you choose the fund carefully or beyond 1 year. But for exactly 1 year, it's really not a big deal. Yes, you can argue that arbitrage funds can be used. I'm in the 30% slab. I would like the tax-free gains, but be careful with arbitrage. Arbitrage can result in negative returns over a month or over a quarter even. And even if there is no credit default, if there's a credit default, that's a big problem. You are in big trouble. But forget that. But even if there's no credit default because of market conditions, there can be problems over a month or a quarter. So for exactly 12 months, arbitrage may be risky. It can, there's one negative month, it can fall, its return will go down below a SB account or overnight fund or whatever. So it's a little bit on the borderline, but if you can take that risk, yes, arbitrage can be tax efficient for a period just after 1 year. So anything after anything 366 days and so on, yes. But you have to be a little careful. I would not personally recommend arbitrage funds for exactly 1 year. It's not, especially for recurring goals like this. Of course, if you have a lot of liquidity to play around, you can play with it. So that's uh, that's what I wanted to say. In my situation, what I'm doing is, see, my mother is staying with us, and my mother has got her family pension. That is my father's family pension, and her own pension. She was in the Directorate of Medical Service, so she her own pension. Now she is in a state. I mean, this will apply for my mother because she's not in a mental or physical state to know how much, when the pension has come to her bank account, how much has come, how much has it increased, and so on. It's all managed by me. And since that money is fungible, my income, my wife's income, my mother parent, my mother's pension, everything is fungible within the family. What I do is, and as she is a senior citizen, that pension amount is used for all these recurring goals of the family. So since 50,000 in deposits is tax free for senior citizens, essentially essentially it's tax free. Of course, if that 50,000 tax free is claimed, then you cannot claim the SB interest. SB interest will become taxable if you claim the fixed deposit one. So you just need to make sure you just remove the money that hits the, once the pension hits the SB account, you remove it and put it in an RD or use it for something else. So that kind of thing you can manage. So it makes it very simple for us. It's essentially, effectively, basically it's tax free. Prior to this, I was paying tax for my mother, but she's in the 5% slab, so it's not a big deal. That RD interest tax is not going to make a big difference for us. So either way, it was more beneficial for my case. For other people, even if you are managing your parents' money, it may not be suitable because your parents may need some money for themselves. But you can't take away all the money. In my case, it's a very specialized situation. I'm the one managing everything, therefore I do it. So you can do anything you want. Arbitrage could be tax efficient, but it has its risks. Um, RD is what I would recommend, but you can play around with it. Of course, if you use a mutual fund instead of a recurring deposit, you don't need to keep opening and closing deposits. You can just use the same fund for all the goals. You can just use it as a pool of money and just withdrawing from it, putting money into it, and so on. It's up to you. Over 1 year, it doesn't matter. Just do what's comfortable. Always focus on the long term. Focus on the long term. Multi crorepati, multi crorepati, multi crorepati. These things don't matter.